two of London's most readily recognizable photographers, are you not? Is this true? Answer the question.
I haven't heard that, actually.
No,
I haven't,
it's totally
I don't know
true.
what you're talking about.
Maybe.
Ladies and gentlemen, name 3 photographers in London, Ontario. Go.
I recognize them.
I recognize you guys, too.
Case
Yeah.
closed. You're basically the Annie Leibovitz twins of London, Ontario. So,
Who knew?
I mean, recently you've started collaborating. I mean, you have really significant bodies of work on your own, but recently you've started collaborating. And what is the point of that? What inspired you? What about each other? Why did you need to team up?
Because we're pooling our resources. Because Richard has all the money, and I have all the ideas. You have all the money, right? You told me you had all the money.
I got all the money.
Yeah. So.
And the cameras.
Okay.
And actually, to correct what you said, I really am not a photographer. I have a digital camera which I really like, but Richard is a photographer, and he's really good. So I actually have attached myself to Richard like a zebra mussel, and he's a photographer.
So, Richard.
Janice is the art director.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Richard, do you find this a symbiotic or parasitic relationship?
Yes, Richard. What is it?
Oh, very symbiotic, of course.
All right. So,
Yes.
what are you getting out of it?
Well, I get models. I mean, I get.
So, Janice brings the women.
She brings the models and organizes the shoot, and yeah, she's the bait, and I take the pictures.
My name's Carla.
Okay, so what's your latest project? What have you been up to lately?
Well, it was called The Art of Undressing, and it was a.
Sounds risque.
Yes.
Actually, it wasn't as risque as it could have been. It was actually purposely a little on the not conservative side, but it was meant to be sensual opposed to sexual. So.
It was a digital photography project where it was like it was a striptease done digitally, like with digital photographs, and
You can see how conservative that is.
yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
But there was no nudity at the end though. They stripped almost to nudity.
That's not true. We had
There was
penis.
one nude person. There was.
Penis.
There was penis.
Yeah.
There was penis. Okay. Well, what was the venue? What was this all for? How'd you display this art? Art.
Well, it was in Toronto. It was at an art festival in Toronto, which was called Nuit Blanche, which is a overnight. It was on September 30th, and it ran from 7:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. to 7:30 a.m.
So, like an all-night affair with people running around enjoying art.
Yeah.
I understand there was like a very expensive Monet painting that was destroyed on that evening.
You know what? That was 1884. Get over it. It's a past. Contemporary art.
All right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, do you feel that it's time to move on? How respective are you of the art that has preceded your own art? Who do you look up to? Who's inspired you?
Like artists that have inspired.
Sure.
What are you talking about? We've been alone in a cave for years. We've made this all up.
I don't know. I mean, I've admired a lot of documentary photographers. That's sort of what I like. That's my angle is documentary photography. Not so much. This sort of thing is more like fashion photography almost. You know. I mean, you mentioned Annie Leibovitz. She's really good. I mean, I don't know. There's Diane Arbus. There's a lot of photographers that I really admired. But
what about Leonard Nimoy?
He's good.
Yeah, he is good, isn't he? He's good. Very sensual, very spiritual at the same time.
Very spiritual.
Sense spiritual. So how did you get this idea? What was the kernel like?
Well, I knew someone had sent me an email saying talking about this festival in Toronto and just asking for submissions. So, and then I forwarded the email to Janice, and then we concocted this
scheme,
this idea, and then we wrote a proposal, or Janice wrote most of the proposal, and we submitted it to them. This was in late August, and the thing is in the end of September, so we more or less had a month to do it. And then they got back to us and said they liked the idea and told us that to do it.
Well, how was it received? Like, where were you? First of all, you're in Toronto, right?
We were in Toronto. We were on Church Street.
Cool.
Yeah, and the theme of the street was called the Red Light District. So from a church from Wellesley to Alexander Street, which is about a 2-block stretch of Church Street, was turned into like kind of a mini red light district.
Yeah.
And our thing was in there, was part of that.
Yeah, it was like a collective actually. The Church in Wellesley Business Association made a collective. So all the artists involved there were of sensual, sexual nature, and they had all kinds of things up the strip, and they closed the street off, and they had dry ice, and they're trying to create they actually went to Amsterdam before they did this. I think they
to do research. Yes.
Yeah.
God, how much time I've spent in Amsterdam doing research. So that's great. So they had like the Amsterdam fog and all that business. How was it received? What was the traffic like?
I don't know. I thought it was pretty good. Everyone who saw it said they liked it, and I liked it, and we had a pretty good turnout. I think everybody stayed and watched it.
The festival itself actually attracts this year, last year it was 425,000 people.
Are you kidding?
And this year it was more than that, like 600,000 people.
Holy shit! So
I'm not sure if they measure garbage or how they figure this out, but or if they don't fly over Toronto. But there was a lot of. That's not for our project, obviously. It was for the whole. They had the whole area, and they have an art bus that goes around, so you can get on and off of that. Even though we didn't figure that out, and Margot didn't figure out the transit system, so you have to find. It's like an Easter egg hunt. As far as art.
But regardless, there were hundreds of thousands of people enjoying art that night.
Yeah, that's right.
Do you feel like you've made some ground in that sense in the tough Toronto market? Do you feel like you got some exposure?
We're rich now, right? I mean, we have
we're
lots
filthy
of
rich.
like offers of come in.
Art has made us rich.
And,
okay.
Art will make you rich.
Yeah, we're leaving here, so tomorrow we're out of here. Going to New York.
That's a good.
If you want to get rich, art is the way.
That's a good question. I know how hard it is to make a living doing theater. How much do you make a good, like seriously, do you make a good living with your
Money
art?
fight.
So much money. There's